Access granted.
Hello and welcome to the Full Force Redacted, brought to you by GeneralsJoesReborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80. On the show today, we have two members of the awesome G.I. Joe brand team joining me yet again for another interview. Design lead and local polar bear tamer, Lenny Panzica, and the meticulous master model maker and local teddy bear tamer, Tony Colella, to talk about all of the awesome reveals we've had over the past few months and much, much more. Guys, thank you so much for spending your precious time with me. How are you both doing?
Well, I'd say
doing great.
Good.
Keeping those teddy bears online.
Yeah. When are we going to get the teddy bear animal companion? That's what I want to know now. If we're getting a polar bear,
that's a great idea.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. You heard it here first.
Teddy bear confirmed in the line.
There's our name only reveal. Perfect. Anyway, good to have you back on. It's been a while. And you guys have been kind of busy revealing things or showing stuff off, or at least Emily has, and Tony, of course. Like when I saw you in NYCC, Tony, that was fun. That was great. Nice. Where were you, Lenny?
That was I had that week off.
Oh, good. Perfect timing. Chris is in New York. I'm out of here. That's what
I'm on vacation. I can't.
No, it's probably for the best, actually. No, thank you very much for doing that, Tony. That was awesome, that little interview at NYCC. So we have kind of covered, like the Saw Viper, Zandar, Leatherneck, Dial Tone. We talked about those on the previous episode as well when we had the renders. But Retro Mindbender, Retro Viper, Retro Rock and Roll. We've kind of covered all of those sort of as much detail as possible now. So I figured we could focus on the render reveals this time around, because I don't think we've really spoken about the new stuff. And also, we haven't been on since it's been a while. It's been a while, like August, was it? Yeah, it's been a few months.
And
there's been.
When was the last time you chatted with my mom during one of these things?
Every single episode. Shout out to Patty. Yeah. Shout out to Lenny's mom. She's amazing. Well, let's talk about those renders and start with Footloose. And boy, am I happy to see him. He looks very classic in his design. I mean, could you take us through your decision to kind of stay close to that kind of vintage with him?
Yeah, I think for the wave, we needed a more military figure. So we wanted to keep him a little more classic looking. There is a little bit of updates to his straps and to his web gear. Nothing too crazy. But we did want to keep him a little closer just because I think it grounds the wave, essentially. Yes. There's a lot of craziness going on in that wave. So we wanted to have him kind of like be the anchor for it.
Yeah.
There is some updates with his optics on his helmet. The netting on his helmet is updated as well. But again, wanted to keep it kind of like he grounds all the other crazies in the wave.
And there's like not feathers. Sorry, what am I talking about? There's leaf of stuff.
There's plumes.
It's got feathers. I don't know why I said feathers.
Plumes. It's like a net. So
you
see like a netting sculpt, and then it kind of leaves sculpted into it. And the front is an optic that kind of like helps them a little.
Very much like his classified figure his original design figure that had the kind of like.
And it's a good body type
yourself
too. The military body type. It really helps us kind of like kind of the stalker body. It helps us like with a breath of the line as we go into the future.
Yeah, into the future indeed. And 3026, which is I think probably how far you're leaning into the future, isn't it? With these designs.
There's enough shows for that. Yeah.
There's enough characters, absolutely. Yeah. And yes, and Tony, in terms of Footloose, is that a character that evokes anything in you, kind of nostalgia wise or anything? Is he a character that sticks out to you?
I always lean towards the crazier Cobra kind of Viper stuff when I was a kid. Certainly this guy's got a very important lore, I think, after looking into him as well. But the that Vietnam era camo is coming out super nice. We're seeing some samples, painted samples in from production just to do some double checking and proofreading on those. And he's super cool. And like Lenny said, he grounds the whole wave of just kind of craziness. So I love seeing those. He's not a green shirt, but those military inspired characters. And again,
he's more of a tan shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, he's looking great. He's like we were saying, the early production's looking really nice on him right now.
Yeah.
Could you kind of
few samples too, and they get better and better every time we see him. So we're pretty pumped for him.
Awesome. And he's got some new secondaries as well, hasn't he? And some new bits and bobs on that figure, right?
Oh yeah. He's okay. a lot of new on that figure.
Awesome. Yeah, can't wait. I've always loved Footloose. He's been a favorite because he was quite big in the Sunbow cartoon.
Yeah.
And so we'd see him on quite a lot of the VHS tapes and everything. He was huge in the Action Force weeklies and monthly comics as well. Like he was a really big character. So, and he was Scottish, I think, in that, which is hilarious.
I think Action Force. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Anyway, Footloose, brilliant. Glad you got him. Blowtorch looks incredible. I mean, how much fun was he to translate into classified? Seriously,
he was fun. Fun is the word.
Yeah,
but like those, I guess I'll call them diodes. He had the donuts that he had back.
The Centurion connected ports.
Yeah, he had like the '80s tech donut on him, and I was like, "What are these things?" Right? So I'm trying to do some research. Maybe there's something that like firefighters wear that has something to do with. But then as I started thinking about it, I got to take a little bit more of a science fiction take on here. So I took them as like dampeners. So essentially they're almost in a way like kind of like a diode that connects to his armor, that in a way it works like a cooling system sort of deal. So when he does go into fire under a burning building, or he is burning the building or burning the bad guys himself, he is staying cool.
Yeah, while he's burning people, he's staying chill. I like that.
Yeah. So it's a protective suit essentially. That's what I always took it as a kid too. But we had in this modern sculpting era, we have the ability to kind of like go in on details. So I wanted it to feel a little bit more like it's serving a function. Otherwise, he would have had donuts all over him. And then the decision to
actual donuts.
Yeah.
Delicious.
We had gone through a couple of deco iterations. We weren't going to paint them, then we painted them, and then ultimately I think we got them to a good place. At one point they were super bright,
right?
Which was weird. So he was a journey, that figure. I'd say.
Yeah, and we shied away from the super bright colors of the O-ring just to kind of, we wanted that feel of a fireman with that yellow tannish. So we kind of got to a nice little compromise there. And it's sweet that I don't know what render we showed, but the helmet and mask are both removable. So you can take off the helmet, you can take off that mask. So I think we showed it with everything on.
Yeah.
So he's got a full portrait and everything underneath there. And
cool.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to kind of say if it's like is it a full-on head sculpt with hair and everything, or is it like covered over with, okay, it's not like, I was thinking it was like like an airtight sort of
no
face showing out
it's like Tony said, it's a mask, and the mask connects to the pipe that's on his vest, and then the helmet goes over all of that as well, and the mask is crystal clear with paint.
Awesome.
And it all fits together really tight too, so like there's hardly any seam between. Of course there is some seam. He's wearing a helmet over top of a mask,
right?
We really worked to get it all to kind of like connect together. So we did actually originally sculpting and I were looking at like maybe we do the drawstring thing that was on the old school toy to keep it on his face, but then it gets too thick, so then we just did essentially what everybody's already been seeing about the some other figures that we have with similar masks. It's just a slide over sort of deal.
Yeah, fantastic. Have you, in terms of the head sculpt, I get you probably won't be able to go into it too much detail, but is it sort of like, did you take some inspiration from the Sunbow cartoon in that sense? Okay, cool.
100%.
Awesome.
Yeah, so looking at the old figure, again, we always look at the old figure. So like I always start, because I feel like there's comic, there's Sunbow, but then there's figure. And I feel like figure is the centerpiece for G.I. Joe. And then the media, wherever direction it took it, was another version of that character.
Takes it to the stratosphere in Sunbow, basically, doesn't it?
Yes.
No, that's awesome. That's great. I can't wait to see that one then. So, I imagine we're going to be seeing some of these in the new year. Then I guess, I guess there's going to be an event as normal every single year around February time. Do you think is that where we're going to be kicking off next year?
I'm not sure when.
I think everybody's in holiday vacation mode. So like,
100%.
I have not looked into my schedule. I mean, we've got our figures and production development done.
Right.
Like anything past last week was like, we'll get there.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever. We'll deal with that. That's a tomorrow problem. That's a Tony
That's
in
a next year
January problem. Yeah.
The whole corporate. Oh, I'll see you next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we get some more streams and reveals and stuff like that coming up into the new year, because I always have fun.
We got a lot of stuff. We've gotten a lot of samples in the past couple of weeks too.
Wow,
We probably should share some of this stuff.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Are you guys allowed to share samples of stuff that have only been render reveals at this point, or are you on that kind of more of a strict
that'll probably wait for the
cadence?
Next event.
Yeah, I figured. Okay, so stuff that's already been like in hand sort of can be shown off though, in a sense, right? Like things that have been pre-ordered and like Zandar, for example, those kind of figures can be shown off, can't they?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, can I just say Zandar is absolutely gorgeous. Like having that figure in hand, beautiful. And Tony showed me the tattoo just creeping out over the secondary. So I'm very happy that you went with that tattoo under the secondary.
You got to get in there. I mean, he's got secondaries on, but there's details that he has, and he wouldn't have not had the tattoos. So they're there.
Was there any thought with Zandar? Sorry, we're going way off topic here. Was there any thought with Zandar at any point to do his dragon tattoo that Zorana had that they had originally in the kind of original artwork, and then it kind of like they just threw the armor on.
I think if we ever did a version of him without shoulder pads, definitely would do the shoulder pads gets in the way, right? So I mean, we did the dragon on the Zorana that came with
with Thunder Machine,
the whole idea there was like, I want to make the version that they didn't make.
Exactly.
So we'll probably get to it at some point in time.
We were we're all big fans of that edition on Zorana. And Zorana. I didn't know it was you. Right. Then we have, as well, on top of Blowtorch and Zandar that I've just been talking about, we have an amazing animal companion, or in Snake Eye's case, an animal enemy. An animal? An anime? I'll stop now. Amazing.
It sounds worse when you say it out loud. It does.
Is it an enema? And was an absolute scene stealer, I have to say. How difficult was it getting that polar bear designed? Seriously.
It's
or weird. Have you guys? Is animals where you excel, and it's the human figures that you struggle with? Is that?
We've been getting such a positive response with animals that when I presented it, I was like, I want to make a polar bear really bad. I think it'll be sweet. Goodness, and I mean, I always, that scene just like always has been in my head as a kid. Even when I like kind of fell out of toys and cartoons for a little bit, I always remember that scene because it's so wacky.
Oh yeah,
I feel like it's the only scene on the G.I. Joe 24/7 on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
I pop it on. It's like the bear scene. Like, oh, all right,
so true. It's so true.
Selling
back on this one.
It was an easy selling. They were like, "Yeah, sounds good." I'm like, "We're gonna make it epic. It's gonna be like this epic polar bear." And everybody was into it, and it was from a selling standpoint, was kind of like the team was bought off on it pretty early, and then from a design standpoint, we just did what we normally do on figures. It's just just more mass. It's
literally right, more mass, It's more mass device, right?
It's big. Speaking of mass device, the bear is a big boy,
awesome,
heavy. You can hold the door open with it, probably.
Wow.
Yeah, the render looks pretty accurate until you get it in hand, and you're like, oh no, this looks ridiculous.
I think so. We designed it to stand.
Oh so my god! I was going to ask that. I was going to ask that question. Yeah.
It's about. I don't want to give an exact number because packaging.
Things can vary. Yeah.
It'll be over 9 inches tall when he stands.
Pardon my French. Me.
Yeah, it's huge. But polar bears are 9 feet tall, maybe 10, depending on the bear. So we wanted it to be accurate to the world of, and he's big.
So does that elevate it out of the price point of a figure and pet situation then?
It'll be its own price point.
Okay, I just wanted to double check on that one. That makes a lot of sense considering you're talking it's almost a 3-pack.
It's big, yeah. Well, it eats up a lot of room in the pack. It comes with some cool accessories too, just to kind of get you the mass device vibe.
Right.
So it's definitely its own standalone kind of item.
Unbelievable. I love the little details as well that Emily was talking about the fact that there's a, you know, like a battle damage piece that can come out.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. She said there's some sort of surprise under there for everybody. I'm just assuming it's the damage underneath.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be take it open. There's like a picture of like, you know, Lenny's face there that you carved.
Yeah.
In the meat of the bear is my face.
Just like, that's Lenny's face. Why did he want that
It's
as his
a
head
cameo
sculpt?
of Tony and I.
Yeah.
That would be so good.
A specialized
That'd be so
cameo
good.
underneath there.
That'd be amazing. Just embracing underneath the skin of the polar bear. No, that's incredible. And also the little arrows that you can pop in there.
Yeah.
Well, not all, the piece of flesh with arrows in it you can stick in there. That's amazing.
Mhm.
So many cool little details on that one. The trap, the bear trap as well. There's so many cool things that you guys are throwing in that set. And of course, the mass device pieces, the radioactive hands on Snake Eyes. It's awesome. Just absolutely awesome. I love that more than.
And I don't know if we showed it in the render, but he'll have regular hands too.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
Did we show that?
ungloved ones, right?
Yeah,
so like
ungloved,
kind of bare hands and then bare hands. Get it?
More of a nut. He's bare hands against this bear.
I'm telling you though, 9 inches. Yikes!
Big.
And that will be clipped up. I'll tell you now.
Yep.
Now, she also Emily also mentioned in the panel. At NYCC, this is because it's been ages. But she said that the mass device will like cover like just more than just that one piece. There's going to be a few other items involved.
Yes.
Is there any more you can talk to on that, or can you like not
not
obviously tell us what
sure.
those items are, but like, is there anything you can talk about regarding mass device?
I'm not sure.
No, we haven't revealed anything on what the mass device kind of program means. I think BMAC kind of revealed as like a broad stroke.
Yeah.
And then here we are. We've kind of refined it down for the polar bear and Snake Eyes offering. There will be more,
Right.
but there's nothing outside of that what we've talked about yet. But
Is do you think, bearing in mind you guys know your own line plan and everything, I imagine, going into next year, is it likely that we'll see more mass device reveals in that first part of the year?
Probably timing would probably work out. I can't guarantee though, but
right. I don't want to put you on the spot and be like, just tell us what's happening. But
I would imagine they're going to want to get you guys more information sooner than later.
yeah,
I think it's the timing of the year of why there hasn't been a lot of info, but I think more to come soon.
great, awesome. That's all I wanted to know. I want to ask the question at least. I want to go there and say, hey, what's happening with mass device? Another amazing render reveal was the Legacy Firefighter. So awesome. I'm really excited for this one because I keep seeing that exact design on like a fire. Like it was weird. Like the day after, I was in New York, and when I went home, I was driving through like, you know, the street or whatever. It was in Rhode Island somewhere, and I drove past there was a fire engine over to the side, and the guy was outside in the exact, you know, the black gear with the kind of chrome stripe and the neon stripes, and I was like, that's the I wanted to pull over and get his autograph. You're like, you're in the G.I. Joe Classified series. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but I'm really excited for that one. I genuinely was blown away by how good that looks.
We're excited about it too. I feel like it just opens up a whole nother, again, that world building thing, right? Like it opens up other possibilities, right? Like these are everyday people doing extraordinary things, which falls beautifully into G.I. Joe, right? Like they're highly trained, but they're doing everything they can to save the day, essentially, without having superpowers, right? So they're kind of perfect for the line. We love the 60th anniversary. I think it's like such a cool addition, and it kind of, again, as I am action figure dork, it kind of plays really nicely into that. Like, a fireman, but like a nice fireman. Like it just kind of, it kind of helps expand for those who like to collect and build little worlds on their shelves.
Fantastic.
It's
I might have to.
Mattel's Little People. We're just
we're coming after you, little people.
Like that. We're coming for Schleich, and we're coming for little people. That's the major competition.
It was the Schleich one that got me last time we spoke when you said, that is amazing.
Coming for you, big Schleich.
I might have to customize one of the legacy firefighters to have the Dr. Mindbender upper torso and then do like a fake calendar sheet.
Calendar?
Yeah.
That's
How
pretty good.
fun would that? All right, anyway, that's by the by. That's my own fetish. No, just
funny story about that particular figure. When it started coming in, the first sample, we're looking at the heads and we're like, these just aren't looking the way we wanted them to look. Something's a little off. And it turns out they had swapped the skin tones on the faces.
Oh, right.
And the inkjets.
So I was like, yeah. And they're designed specifically for each of those faces. But my God, what a interesting look that it created.
It's crazy when the inkjet is not on the right face because, like, you know, the eyes don't line up, the nose
my
doesn't
God,
line up,
yeah,
the creasing. So it's like, this poor person, what has happened to them?
Melting. Can we expect to see, then in that case, can we expect to see more civilian non-military figures in the Legacy series? And when are you guys making low-level podcaster YouTuber figures in that same scenario?
Diagnostic 80. Yeah, I think so. It's a cool line. And I think G.I. Joe kind of really set the course for a lot of action figures back in the day, and I think we were trying to pay we're trying to honor that and pay homage to that.
Right.
So we're gonna take a lot of notes from what they were doing back in the day and do it in our modern spin. So I think there's potential to do more. I want to do more. They're very cool. They're fun to do.
Just a side question. Are we going to get more legacy releases through the year, like going into next year? Because it feels like there weren't a lot of legacy, like, 60th, we'll say. I felt like there could, it would have been really nice. I mean, I was happy to have, like, loads of those coming through. Is it going to be another, like, say 4 or something like that next year? Or
we can't say a number. We can't say a number, but I'm sure we'll have more to reveal.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Good, because I really like the legacy stuff. It's amazing. And the 60th.
I agree. We've been really enjoying creating these figures.
I kind of want to make a to scale train set and make a town.
Oh, that'd be so good. Yeah, we need scientists. We need all sorts of cool stuff, man. It's
Dude, a mad scientist would be incredible.
Yeah. That would be great.
Sewer, though. He lives in the sewer. Yeah. He's not sanctioned.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Well, you got to put the Cobra twist on it.
Yeah.
He's a dentist, but he likes the sewer, that kind of thing. Amazing. The Frag Viper is really cool as well. That's a great update. A bit more of a tactical aesthetic on that one. Could you take us through the what kind of decisions you were making based on the original as well?
Yeah. So for that guy, the whole wetsuit vibe he had, like the whole tight costume he had back in the day through both figures, and he had a lot of sashes on him.
A lot of sashes.
It wasn't practical, and they were held by like little like
a knot.
Silver, like brooches. And as much as I love it, at the same time, I felt like it wasn't practical for our aesthetic of the line. It wasn't practical for what they're doing.
Also, lugging grenades.
Literally through a backpack that shoots them down a chute onto a highlight stick.
Unbelievable.
So, in the fantasy of it, I wanted to pull a little bit of realism in it into what he would probably most likely be wearing in 2024 or 2030, whatever year Classified is taking place in. And that's where the decision came in to put him in more tactical outfit. But we kept the sash, though. I kept the sash as more of a denoting of rank. So, that is probably like the squad leader is wearing the sash, essentially. That is a helmet, by the way. There is a reveal underneath that helmet.
Cool.
And we pushed that too. So we'll see what everybody thinks when they see what's underneath that helmet.
Oh my God. I was just assuming it was balaclava head or something, or some sort of like, so this is something that we're not expecting right here.
No, the troop too, I wanted to feel like, so this guy's throwing grenades and he's carrying like 25 grenades on his back. So I don't think he is a natural person, right? So that's heavy, man. The highlight stick is huge. So he's enhanced.
I love that. I love that comment.
The story is he's an enhanced human. So you guys will see more as we reveal more. So he's pretty cool. I love the inkjet. Tony crushed it on the aesthetic of his face. Yeah, it's cool.
It was a surprise to me when it rolled through. and I saw Lenny's design for it, and I was like, oh, all right, that's where we're going. I like where we're going here. And we just went in on it, and yeah, we revealed it with the helmet on just because we wanted it to be a little bit of a surprise for everybody. Maybe it's a reveal it when we show it in live on a stream or photography, but we always like to keep something secret, I guess. Not secret, but give you something else to look forward to in the next talking point. So
that is awesome. I was just expecting just a standard issue balaclava head under a helmet.
Well, I feel like
I thought you were just wrong, Lenny. When I asked you the question, I said, "Is this helmet removable?" You were like, "Oh yeah, it's removable." He just forgot. He's thinking of another figure. I was not expecting the Frag Viper to be a removable helmet.
There's also
incredible.
I feel like when there's opportunities too, like especially like with a head, you can add character to it, and then especially on something like that where like we've never really seen the Frag Viper. Like I can't recall any images, or I didn't see in my research any images of the Frag Viper with its helmet off.
Yeah,
so
I don't think
an opportunity to create some lore, visual lore, right? So hopefully people will dig.
Oh, I'm sure. This sounds incredible. You've hyped up too much, unfortunately. So we'll all be really disappointed now. Yeah, and it'll be like, Tony did a good job on this, really? No, kidding. I can't wait. And usually when you guys do good jobs on things, which is everything, it's awesome. Right then, so that's the Frag Viper. There've also been a number of name-only reveals as well over the past few events, including Retro Flint, Retro Covergirl, Retro Tele-Viper. Now, we know Covergirl is getting the blonde hair. Emily revealed that, which is a nice tie into the mass device as well, of course, just throwing that out there. But what can you tell us about the others? Like, for example, is Flint like a new figure? What's the Tele-Viper going to look like? Are you allowed to talk about this?
Yeah, they're updated for sure.
Okay, cool.
I can't give you a percentage of how much is new, but it's quite a bit. They're not brand new. We are pulling from the library, but we're doing everything we can to give them a little more classic vibe, of course, because it's retro card back.
Yeah. With Flint, I love that Flint figure, the first one. That was one of the, I know that the community tend to want a little bit more vintage. A lot of the time it seems to the fandom over in general seem to want a little bit more closer to the vintage style, but I thought that Flint was amazing. And so I don't really, other than making him look very, very vintage styled, that which will also be really cool, I still think that Flint stands up, man.
Oh, thank you, man. Our goal on the next one is to, again, because what it is and the line that it's in, is to get it as close to the vintage figure as we can. Right, cool. with our resources, of course. So I'm pretty happy with how he's coming out. We're starting to see stuff on him now.
As long as you don't get it as close to the vintage figure I have, which has a big broken bit at the back here, which allows the head to come out and pop back in again. Yeah. I fixed it with blue tack. I put blue tack in there, molded it into its shape, and then just painted over it when I was a kid. And it looks terrible, but but Flint.
What's this big blue thing on your neck, Flint?
I know. You might want to remove that, mate. I had Flint and Quick Kick were my first ever figures from the Hasbro International Heroes, like 1987, Action Force International Heroes, and I remember I was in love with Flint. I thought it was amazing. So the fact we're getting a retro Flint is well good. But like I said, I was pretty satisfied with Flint, so it's all good. More the merrier is all I'll say on that one.
He's in that A-tier bracket of characters too, which you don't want to not have an A-tier character out that people love and have fondness for. And we released him how many years ago? I mean we did Tiger Force after that, but you always want to have those A-tier characters circulating.
Yeah, I feel like in the O-ring and in the 3 3/4 inch and the 4-inch line, I think there's something like 40 versions of Flint. I know for sure
he's got a few.
There's 45 Dukes, and there's
probably more than that.
2 Snake Eyes.
Oh, more than that now. You're into if you're talking like the 4 and 3 3/4. I think it's beyond that now. Especially if you're counting like Super 7's O-ring, and if you count, like it's incredible how many Snake Eyes there are, and that kind of segues into another name-only reveal, which I'll come back to the Tele-Viper in a second. But that's just nice how that moves over to Snake Eyes version 4, which you must be, Lenny, so excited to have been able to kind of get involved in that one, because I know that was one of your favorite Snake Eyes figures.
Oh yeah, big time, big time. Him and Alley Viper would go at it when I was a kid.
Like kiss or
he
fight.
He was sitting on the shelf right in front of my computer at home. It's kind of like sitting there, like waiting. When are you gonna make me? And the opportunity came up. So again, he's coming out really cool too. Very classic, but there is some zhuzhing, of course, classified. We wouldn't be classified without the zhuzh. But, you know, we're pushing it. He's pretty sweet. I don't want to say too much because we haven't really shown anything on him yet. But
this is my trick. I'll talk about name only reveals, and hopefully you guys just reveal everything by accident. Yeah. The one thing I will say about Snake Eyes version 4, I absolutely adore that figure. And it wasn't my first Snake Eyes, but I remember it vividly, getting that one, and then there was the Hall of Fame one that was shortly afterwards, I think, or around the same time. And I remember like just being like, oh wow, this I totally see this is Snake Eyes, even though there's nothing on it that really signifies Snake Eyes. I instantly go, okay, well, goggles, close enough. But like, he's just so cool, and I just thought it was such an interesting update redesign. I was a big fan of version 2s as well. Like Stalker, I thought was amazing with his kayak. Rock and Roll version 2, I thought was insane. I was a real big fan of that. And then so version 4 comes along, the Snake Eyes. For me, it was like version 2-ish. I had the actual version 2 and then 3 and 4 basically. But like version 4 just blew me away completely.
I think that's the cool thing about Joe. Like they push the versions.
Totally.
Right? Like and I think it's born out of like, from a toy standpoint, you want to make sure that somebody's getting something new and different, and not just a minor iteration on. Yes, we do minor iterations because there's different iterations of characters that appeared that way. But I think what they were thinking back in the day was, how do you give somebody something brand new, but with the what's the word I'm looking for? The
signposts of its original design, maybe?
Yeah, but you did Snake Eyes, but like, here's a whole new look for Snake Eyes. What do you think? Maybe you'll love it, maybe you won't. But that risk is awesome because it kind of like promotes going forward and promotes more design, more open-endedness, more creativity, more world expansion. Like maybe the all black stunk really bad one day and he had to put on a blue shirt and set of red goggles. You know what I mean? So I
would hope he changes after every mission, because it gets a little bit crazy for him. What was your version? What was your favorite version of Snake Eyes, Tony? While we're on that subject,
V4 was my Snake Eyes, but my first one was, I did have V3 for a while with the tanning goggles.
and the trench knives.
There's no bad version of him. I think it dips off a little bit in Ninja Force, but I still think he's great.
Ninja Force,
like on the level of 4 is way up there.
If you don't do Ninja Force Snake Eyes, I will come over there and have words. Put it that way.
Ninja Force Snake Eyes is got, I don't know, I can't place it, but he's got how to draw extreme comic book vibes to him.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
He's the perfect superhero of the 90s looking situation, isn't it? That kind of that whole era of like Jim Lee's before that, like kind of like Liefeld and those guys basically. That kind of extreme.
Got a lot of the cues on the head design of like over sculpted cheekbones and stuff, so that you know that there's something going on. It's not just a boring round head kind of deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For me, he's like the Cyclops to G.I. Joe, where like he doesn't miss with his looks. Like they're all good. Cyclops, there's like lower tier, but there's still
really that's good. So true. Cyclops,
Cyclops now, big time.
I'm trying to
even when he has that X one,
still good.
Yeah, with the X one where it kind of shoots. That was pretty dope. That was really, really cool.
Snake Eyes the same way.
Yeah, big time. I agree with that. Okay. Well, I'm going to rewind a little bit and go back to the Tele-Viper, because you can rewind on the telly. So Tele-Viper Is there anything you could explain about that one? Because I'm a little confused as to what is going to happen here. Is it going to be like a straight reissue of the original, which is fine because I mean it allows people to army build it, or are you doing anything different with that particular figure?
He's got some different parts and pieces on him, and he's got some, I'd say, cute accessories. There's a cute accessory in there. Having fun with the cartoon.
Is it a teddy bear? It's a teddy bear,
isn't it? It's a teddy bear. We got the teddy bear in there, Tele-Viper.
Teddy Viper.
Yeah,
amazing.
Teddy Viper. My new Teddy Vipers. You know, Teddy Ruxpin.
I can't believe this is happening.
It's
amazing.
In the cartoon, the Tele-Vipers have a thing they do that I thought was awesome, so I want to get that in the toy line.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So that's there. And there are new parts on the
wow.
So I think you guys are gonna dig, and I think it's cool for troop building too, because like the Tele-Vipers only come with bubbles, so we needed to get it. We needed to get it, like, you know, in the vintage card too. It's gonna look sweet.
That was my thought process, because you know how you've done the eel, obviously, ever so slight changes, but the fact that it was like sold out, it made sense to do a reissue to allow people to army build it. So I was kind of cool with that as a, you know, as a slot in the retro. It makes sense. And I was thinking, I wonder if that's the same thought process going into the Tele-Viper. And if so, are we just going to get a straight up reissue? But if we're getting new things involved with it, that's pretty awesome. So thank you.
Yeah, new things for sure. You know, it's not like, I'll say this, it's not like Flint and Cover Girl, but there are new things, so that because we have redecoed it before.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think for us, it's kind of like we want to give people as much new as we can when we can. Yeah. And if there's an opportunity to do that, we'll do that. If there was an opportunity to add new on them, we probably wouldn't have. In the case of the eel needed it. The eel needed to get back out there, right?
Just in volume.
A lot of people were reaching out to us. It's like, oh, we have to do something about this, and we saw an opportunity, so we did.
Are you thinking about other characters maybe that have happened earlier in the line that might require another reissue sort of thing? Like, you know, I'm just going to throw this one out there as an option, but do you think like, just as an example, not as in a yes or no for you guys, but like Range Viper, for example, which people find difficult to get hold of now because it was an exclusive, is that something that kind of goes through your mind as to, you know, where these slots get filled up with retro and stuff?
In a way, I don't want to like telegraph.
I know. I'm sorry. I've put you on the spot there.
No, you're good. You're good. But I feel like, again, it's part of I think people should know some of our ideology. And it's like, we're toy collectors too, and we're toy geeks too. And then we pay attention to what's going on. And Emily's awesome that way, and BMAC's awesome that way. And like, you know, guys, maybe we should get this in there. And we're like, well, we'll see if it's available. Right. And we see what we can do. Sometimes things aren't available, just the way manufacturing works. Yeah. But when we can, you know, like, we want to get people the stuff they want. So we're going to do what we can.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for that. Now, Crystal Ball, I'm going to talk. Now, this might be one of those things where it's like, I'm going to ask the question and there's a massive elephant in the room. But I'm going to pretend that elephant doesn't exist and that it will come out in the classified series at some point, because you guys are doing bigger animals now. So with Crystal Ball, Emily mentioned a new look for the character to bring him into the present classified aesthetic. What can you tell us about him?
I will say that if I was to make a Crystal Ball in a modern day, I would want him to look as if he shows up all of a sudden in an 80s or 90s movie from a dark alleyway and is going to offer you a deal you can't refuse.
Okay. I like that's a great answer. That is a great answer.
What we think,
that works.
Tony?
I would have gone in the alley. Eddie showing up the way he's looking right now, but yeah, sure. I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll have what he's having.
Whatever you need, mate. Oh goodness me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
like a surprising update, still paying homage to the original wackiness, but with an edge to it. I think it's a little more aggressive than it was silly, I would say.
Oh, Emily noted, she noted that we're doing them.
He's a name only.
She said, yeah, she revealed a name only, and she also said that he's not exactly like the vintage figure, and that the team have done like a nice update to him to make him a little bit like crazier, and everyone's going to like it. That's what she said.
Okay, so if that's the case, I will say a little more.
Okay, good.
The idea is like.
Did I just hypnotize you into? Did I just hypnotize you?
But we want to play into the idea of what you can do with hypnotism if you were Cobra.
Right.
So if you're Cobra and you can hypnotize people, what are you going to make people see? And how are you going to use that to your advantage? So you're not just hypnotizing people to be like, oh, okay, I'll go do your bidding. It's more like hypnotizing you to mess with your brain and the reality around you.
Interesting. So that's going to come out in the figure in some way, shape, or form. You feel? Wow.
Yes.
Okay. I like
I'll
that.
explain it when we do the reveal.
No, I mean, I know now, but no, no, that's amazing. And yeah, I'm very interested, very excited to see how that one turns out. Obviously, you know what I'm saying, of ignoring the giant elephant. Darklon is another very interesting character to bring into the line. Now, was the kind of Skybound introduction in the comics, was that like a collaborative effort to get some of these characters sort of like the timings of them like showing up and coming out in lines and stuff, or is it just the usual collaboration situation there?
I think the usual collaboration. We do try to collaborate them a lot. I think in the case of this one, it was like very serendipitous. With like, you're doing Darklon, we're doing Darklon too. So it kind of like worked out beautifully. So like just like essentially, it's not synced, but it definitely was like a beautiful accident. I'll be honest.
Awesome.
And we had to get him in the line. I mean, I know he's not with his vehicle, but I think he's a cool figure to get in because he starts nodding to other factions.
Of course,
he has connections to the Iron Grenadiers, so it's like there's a lot of connective tissue with Darklon, and that's why I wanted him in the line. Also, we needed another big bad. I think another big bad of note, and I think Darklon is that. He's got ties to Destro; they're related, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I think we needed him, you know.
He's a bit understated in his colors and design, though, isn't he? I mean, you must have had to tweak that a little bit just to make him a bit.
He looks like pickles, ketchup, and mustard.
the perfect combo. Yeah.
It was that was an interesting one to wrangle, I would say, Tony. Right? Like
Oh yeah, for sure. It was getting that right balance.
Yeah, that was a lot of tone playing with the tone, because you don't want to walk too far away, but at the same time you got to wrangle in some of them tones, man. Like
like that one on screen. Together. You like that tone on screen? That tone on screen. Got to wrangle that. The
Toad Viper. Toad Viper would be awesome. Toad Viper. He's like, I have a kid.
Hey, if you're going after Schleich, you do need to have a toad in there as well.
Toads in the line.
What I would say as well with Darklon, he's had a couple of different sort of updates with the 4-inch as well. Like the club did like the first one, with that kind of more tactical version of him, and then they went a little bit more vintage with the FSS version. My hands are going all crazy at the moment. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what you guys, elephant in the room, really excited to see what you guys have done with
those elephants are brutal.
We'll talk quickly about the two recent pre-orders that came out. So recent, I say, Heavy Duty and the Trench Viper and the modular Fortification. With the Trench Viper. Yeah, I said Trench Viper. Stop saying Trench Viper. So where did you get the deco inspiration for that Trench Viper? Was it from previous Alley Viper redecos, or was it like a mixture of ideas? Because I can't pin it down, but there seems to be like a lot of cool previous things being brought in there.
I wanted him to feel like a security, right? So like a lot of times security is in blue, and a lot of like, I mean, I'm American, so I see things in a lot of international security seem to be wearing blue or that like digicamo. Right, so I felt it was kind of cool to put him in like a digicamo. Plus, we don't have a lot of digicamo in the line, so I wanted to get that into there. And then the red was just like a shock. And I love on Transformers when like the Transformers like, I don't know, like a dark purple, and then the face is teal, or like crazy like yellowy green. And I thought it was kind of nice as a shock. And their shock they're shock troops essentially, alley vipers.
Right.
So I thought it'd be kind of cool to give them that like shock face reveal. It's always a nice like what's under the hood kind of reveal when you give a pop when it comes to something on the figure. So it was really to make him feel like he's security, give him a kind of like a station essentially, and then kind of give him a little bit of a pop with a little bit of that real world camouflage, but still feel Cobra.
Yes, he looks great. He's not exactly like V4 or a V7 where I had like that more snake mask too. I love
that one. Dude.
We love it. We want to save that for something else, obviously.
Yeah, alley Viper V2 would be a phenomenal figure to do. Seriously.
The yellow one with the dragon face,
with the Cobra logo shield and everything. Yeah.
But me and Lenny actually went over quite a few camo schemes before we even came up with the black and white digi camo. So it was just kind of brainstorming, bouncing ideas off of each other, and then kind of settling on that. So not necessarily inspired by the later versions, but because I know people will love that secondary mask, but just not there yet.
Yeah. We got to save that. That's got to be when we actually get to that one.
Yeah.
Right? And Tony, I remember we had one where we had red in the camo. We were going to put the red in the camo, and it was more of like a splash kind of camo.
Ooh,
cool. It felt too.
It was like V1 almost echoed, but like blues and reds with whites.
Yeah, we weren't going as blocky. I remember it was more like streaks, and it just felt like first day of like third grade, kind of like Trapper Keeper. You know what I mean? Which was kind of dope.
But it sounds amazing.
Vibing on the figure.
You've just described all of the Transformers right there, G2 especially. No, that's awesome. I think the Trench Viper looks great, and I was really amazed at how good that Fortification looks combined with loads of them, with all the ladders and the pieces and everything. Because it was one of those things where we only really had the render to go on at NYCC, so Tony kind of filled us in and a bit more information about how it opens and how it kind of, the walls kind of flip out and all that kind of stuff. So there's lots of things that you can do with it. It's not just a box necessarily. You can really go to town with this thing, which is really awesome.
Yeah, the idea was to make it modular and let you be able to play on your shelf and set up and you can even stack too, like the way the box is designed. You can put a figure in the box on top of the box, or you don't make it into a box. You can make it into a giant set of walls. So, and then inside there too, there's going to be little, I was calling them nails. It's like a little peg, and the peg will go into recessed 3mm holes, and then you can plug things onto there too. So you could take you can take the rockets off of other things and put those onto that set as well. So you wanted to make a modular piece that can then be compatible across the line.
That's great. I love the gun rack as well. Is that a reuse from the HISS tank, or is it
brand new?
Brand new. So you see, I want to get. I want a big diorama gun rack sort of thing, just to put all of those extra accessories, because there's like a million accessories in the
little corrugated board with little
exactly like the kind of like a Punisher like shed or something, or that shed in Commando where Arnie opens it, like opens it and is like, just grab that, and then he comes in and he gets like can't even use them. But anyway, enough.
Dude,
enough
that scene is so good.
That movie is incredible. I'm gonna have to watch.
We should make this shed from the last scene of Commando when he starts throwing the buzzsaws.
Oh my god, yeah. My goodness.
What a beautiful time.
Oh god. All I remember from that is how easily the French doors were just obliterated as he rolled through them. Like, it's like, pretty sure French doors are not that delicate, but anyway.
That's such a good movie. The end scene with the pipe.
Let off some steam, Bennett. Yeah, incredible. John, I'm gonna shoot you right between the John. Sorry, I'll cut that bit out. I'm not gonna go right between the eyes. Anyway, that's cut. Don't worry about it. Where did I get to? Oh, heavy duty. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we talked about the render, I think, last time. But can we let's get into that mech suit desk cabinet launcher. What on earth were you thinking? And can I have whatever you are taking on this one, Lenny? My goodness.
Oh man. So that
beautiful, by the way.
To be closer to the old school design But when we were looking at it, we got the first phase of sculpts in. And Matt
I
and
really want to see them. I really want to see what that looks like so bad.
And it was just like, how is this dude holding this? With like a snare drummer from like a marching band thing. So because I had a backpack on it because I thought they needed a backpack to be the armature that was holding the weight. So we always had that there, but it just wasn't. It needed more. Like it needed more hydraulics in there. And then we added. So that one was an interesting design where that one was iterative at sculpt. Normally we have it all kind of like nailed down before we go to sculpt just because of timing and how many we do a year. But on that one, it came across as like Matt and I were like, we got to do some work on this thing. So we went in, we redesigned it a bit. We took some inspiration from some of our favorite IPs with the pull down that goes on and locks on. It's pretty modular. The quad rockets come off.
Oh, speaking of Commando,
what's that?
Speaking of Commando, the rocket launchers, man.
That he gets off the little boat, that little like inflatable boat, and he's
in his pants.
Yeah, so
in his underpants, basically. In his underpants.
Yeah, that's the gratuitous underpants scene. Oh yeah,
gratuitous speedo
that design
shot.
Took an iteration, man. Like we had to like get there because, again, it's like that balance of like what do we update, what don't we update, and like in the case of that, I was like, I know that some things need to be updated on this old desktop shooter that he had back in the day. But then I was like, I had cold feet about going too much into it. And then when we got into an actual not sample, but like a 3D render, it was like, oh man, this thing just for our universe doesn't work. So we had to go in and add the armatures and all that sort of stuff. And it landed in a pretty cool spot. And we were able to put a lot of fun little Easter eggs on it to play to his character. Like the whole reason why he can use the machine is because he's a classical guitar player.
Right.
And he's got the dexterity, right? So we played into like I forget the name of the classical song that I put on the side. We make so many sometimes forget some of the tempos. But like we have that on the side.
Oh, nice.
The wavelength in the back of it is the wavelength of the song.
Oh, brilliant. That's amazing.
So it's really he was fun. And when I learned, I didn't remember him being a classical guitarist. I love metal, so I was like, he's a classical metal guitar. Well, I added the metal in there. He's a classical guitarist.
He's a classical metal guitarist. Is a different thing entirely.
He's got shred head on his hat.
Brilliant.
So he was fun. He's different. He's a different figure, which I dug. But he's got the military tones to him that keep him grounded in Joe. But I did love getting into all the crazy like. It was an adventure figuring that out. The mech tech stuff usually is because, again, you start with what they were doing back then and what was cool back then, but then you see where mech tech has gone, and you do have to iterate on it. Just want to let everybody know my computer's dying, so I might disappear.
Oh my god!
Okay, well, we'll bring it to a close very shortly. I do want to say first of all, I love the Saved by the Bell style design on his hat. Phenomenal. And I just think the figure looks beautiful in general, and that mech is incredible. Very power loader vibe. Love it very much. Quickly then, before we go, I just wanted to ask about the Rattler, because obviously we haven't really spoken about that since that came out. And you guys have outdone yourselves with this one in a lot of ways, actually. Obviously, it broke records in general, but does this Rattler open the door for much larger vehicles? And is that sort of where HasLab will be going in the future until we get a flag? Or no, joking about the flag, but is that kind of where we're going with this, or are you kind of are we just having to get bigger and bigger each time?
I don't know. I think like we just got to do the right item every time, and I don't think bigger is always better. I think we just got to kind of like read the room, right? Like it's awesome. We're starting to get samples in. I'm actually missing a review of it. I'm gonna go meet them in a little bit to take a look.
Sorry.
But no, quite all right. It's awesome. It's really fun. But at the same time, it's like you got to read. When do things get too big? When are things too small? That's why it has the details in it. It was an opportunity to have the wings go up so that it's a little smaller on people's shelves.
Yeah.
So you got to pay attention. That's where the toy want to make something incredible, crazy product brain has to like go, okay, relax, product designer. Take the seat and be like, what is practical for people and affordable too? I think that's a big thing to sound kind of boring. Sometimes you got to put your boring hat on and be like, what is more practical for people what can people actually obtain, because you want people to be a part of it. But that doesn't rule out doing crazy things too.
Okay.
So why not?
Can I ask this question at least? Can you get bigger than the Rattler in HasLab? Is that possible, or is Rattler sort of the biggest you can really go?
I think it's possible. I think
that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I haven't. I wouldn't rule anything out necessarily, but I wonder what the size of the Ghost looks like compared to.
Ghost is huge.
The Ghost was pretty big.
It was pretty hefty, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then the Sand Barge is gigantic.
Oh god, that was ridiculous.
Surf on that thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I mean, possibilities there. Again, we are a bigger scale.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you can't really do this. You can't really do the Sand Barge for classified, can you? Because that would be
Thunder.
Sand Barge.
Yeah,
that's it. We're doing Rolling Thunder. I've decided.
I tell you, I would be all over that.
It'd be awesome.
I'd just drive it to work.
It's actually, you could charge it. It's an electrical vehicle.
Okay, I wasn't really sure where you guys were in terms of where the HasLabs kind of where the limits are, basically. But that's good to know that it's not like, the Rattler isn't the biggest you can go, because why bother with space anyway? What's the point, right? Anyway, I think we'll bring it to a close there, actually, because that was a nice bit to finish on. Plus, Lenny's probably about to die in his battery here. And anyway, thank you guys so much for doing this with me again. Of course, I'd love to have you back on after the next event, possibly. That would be kind of cool if we could talk about the stuff fresh off the back of a reveal. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, good. Great. I'm going to take that as yes, we'll do that. No, thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate all of this. Whenever that's happening.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
It's
tomorrow. Oh God, don't tell me that. That would be crazy. It might be that we do our next.
No, I think it'll be anyway later. So yeah, definitely we'll figure something out.
Good. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I love the classified line, and I hope it continues for a million more years. Anyway, I hope you've had a good time. We'll leave it there. For everyone watching, stay fresh cheese bags. And after 3, you know what to do. Do you remember, guys? After 3, it's been a while. 1, 2, 3. Amazing. That sounded so dirty. I love it.
Access granted.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. And as always, you can keep up with the show after listening by following on all of our social platforms, links in the description. And if you would like to contact the show, you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback or questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.
Access granted.